Hey, thanks for coming back again. D13 Turb. What's going on? All right, cool. I'm gonna put all this thing to William 2022. Welcome back. I'll put all the cameras somewhere so you guys can see. Let me flip this. Picture and everything on this app. All right, cool. Nice. Let me know if you can see. I think this is reflected in a weird way. This is good. This is good. I'll put this in the middle right here. Nice. I think you guys are good on TikTok. All right, cool. So, all right, let's talk about what we're gonna see today. Hey, some of the questions that I get a lot. This is Romel with the Jax Tutor. So this is our live session we're doing every Tuesday. So today, I know some of you guys are starting school tomorrow. Some of you have kids who are starting school tomorrow, depending on your age. So what we're gonna talk about here is, we're gonna do a little bit of algebra, and we're gonna talk about equalities and inequalities, but also we're gonna talk about a little bit of trigonometry, and then probably some fraction trick if we have the time for it. And then I heard there's someone who's taking a geometry exam tomorrow. I might do this for her if she's still around. So let me know if you guys all seeing the screen. Facebook. What's going on? Joslyn, JP, Omni One. What's up, man? Let's see. Yeah, you seeing the screen? Brute Pearson, what's up? What's good? All right, so let me see who else is live. Just me underscore 2019. What's up? On Instagram. All right, cool. So, yeah, you guys are seeing the screen. You telling me, okay, good. So, the first thing I'm going to start with is solving equation, and that's probably easy for you guys if you're already taking like pre-algebra, algebra 1, algebra 2, and once you start getting into like calculus or pre-calculus, they normally assume that you know what those are. So let's start with, let's say there's equations with 1 unknowns, 2 unknowns, and 3 unknowns, and depending on how many unknowns you have, to be able to solve for it and to be able to have a constant or a value for each variable, you have to have as many equations or more. So now we're gonna start with something simple today, and then eventually we're gonna move on to other things that are a little bit more difficult. So we start solving the equation with one variable. So let's say, for instance, you have an equation like 3x. If I'm blocking any of the screens, let me know, because I don't know. It's like 4 devices here. So let's say you have something like 3x minus 5 is equal to 3x minus 5 is equal to 1 or something. So let's say you want to know how to solve for this equation. Now there are normally 2 ways that you can do this. Now, if you just started taking algebra, they probably tell you what you can do is the second way I think is faster. But they probably tell you what you can do is add 5 to both sides. This marker is not working with me. Add 5 to both sides. That's another marker that's not working. And then, so you add whatever you have, you add it up. So what was that? 3x, 5 minus 5, that's gone. And then you have 1 plus 5 is 6. So that's one of the ways. And then after that, you tell you to divide both sides by 2. Divide both sides by actually 3. So the goal of this is, as you know, if you've probably taken algebra before, you probably know what I'm saying is, the goal is to separate x, or whatever variable you have, separate it and leave it by itself. And everything else, you move them to the other side of the equality or inequality, as we're going to see in a little bit. And everything else you move to the other side, that allows you to be able to say, hey, x is equal to or greater than or equal to or less than or equal to this value. So that's what we're going to do here. So now we divide both sides by 3, and we got x here as 2. Now, if you're not sure if that's the answer, I'll pick the question off the top of my head. So there's no way for you to look at the answer. What you can do is you can go you can plug that value of 2 inside of this equation and see what you get. So what you're going to do is 3 times the 2 that you have here minus a 5. And what does that equal to? 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 2 is 6 minus a 5. So 6 minus 5 is 1. Now, let me know if you have any questions, and then we're going to move on to something. This is probably one of the simplest form you're going to find it in. And then the other forms are like you have x on both sides. Now, before we do that, I'm going to show you an alternative way that I would solve for this. So normally when I'm solving for things like that, what I would do is so I would start from here. If you have any questions, ask them now. So when I go back to the screen so I can see what the questions are. So we got x is equal to 1. So what I would do normally is, and that's how I learned how to do stuff. So what I would say is, you see how you had a step here to add 5 to both sides? The way that I like to think about this is it's probably a little bit faster for you. And if that's not simple for you, just stick to what you have, what you know how to do. What I would do is you move this 5 to the other side. So it was a negative 5 right here, and on this side is going to become a positive 5. So you're going to have 1 plus 5. And that 5 is gone because it moves to this side. And then that 3x is going to stay where it's at. And then 1 plus 5 is 6. 3x is equal to 6, and you divide both sides by 3 the same way. And actually, the other way that I would do this again, you don't really say you divide. You could say you divide both sides by 3, but if you think about it as in you move the 3 here, but it's the same thing as dividing both sides by 3. What I got? 2. Yeah, x is equal to 2, and it's the same value that we have. So either when you started out, you say, hey, I'm gonna add 5 to both sides, or you can move everything that doesn't have x on one side and everything that has x on the other side. Now, in this case, it's simple because it's one variable and just a few different terms that you have to add. Let's say you had 3x plus 2x minus 5 is equal to some x, some x, some x. So instead of saying I'm adding 5, subtracting 3, adding 3x minus 3x, you could say I'm moving everything that doesn't have x on one side and everything that have x on the other side. So let me see if you have any question. I'll show you a more complicated example. Let's see. Jasmine, let's go. Bring them on camera. Hey, what's up? Oh, I didn't know they had this feature. What's going on, Germs? What's up? What are we already started? Yeah, we're solving equations. Let's see. Let's see. Is cool. D. I didn't want to seem rude. I young underscore table. Peace out. Brooks. Love your content. Thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, I think I talk about statistics. Maybe at the end we'll talk a little bit more about it. All right, let's see if Instagram has any questions. What even is life? You on both sides? You on TikTok and Instagram? What's up? That's what's up. I don't want to mispronounce your name. I think it's Toy Ham. I probably messed it up. My son just started following you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Toy Ham. Thanks. Yeah, welcome to your son. Hey, bro, thanks for everything. Help. Reach out. Everything helps me out. No problem. All right, cool. I don't see any questions, so I'm gonna do something a little bit harder. Let's see, YouTube. I don't think I have any questions on YouTube either. Nope. Okay, so let's move on to something a little bit harder, probably. So let's say, and this example probably gonna tell you the reason why we want to move, everything to one side instead of adding and subtracting. So let's say you have 7x minus 3 is equal to 4x, negative 4x plus 5. Honestly, I don't know what this is going to be. Okay, so 7x minus 3 go to negative 4x plus 5. So if this is your first time being introduced to algebra, so the way that we solve for this is saying that, hey, first I'm going to add 3 to both sides. And that's not wrong. It's just probably take you a little bit longer to do it this way. You're going to add 3 to both sides, not equal. Add 3 to both sides. So what does that equal to? So that 3 is gone. 7x is equal to negative 4x plus 5. And then the next step, what's the next step? What's the next step that you guys normally do? Let me see. Who's on TikTok? You want to tell me what's the next step? Yes, I'm gonna be active when school starts. I've been doing this every Tuesday, every day. Every Tuesday I'm in. Yeah. Gabriela Sanchez. Yes, I'll be here when school starts again. I mean, school already starts for some people. Yeah. So you say plus 4, divide by 7. Divide by 7. Not yet. We're not there yet. So the goal is, as you know, is move everything that have x to one side, everything that doesn't have x to the other side. So this thing doesn't have x next to it. Actually, 5 plus 3 is 8. I forgot to put the plus 3. Okay, so another step, what they normally do is 7x, negative 4, 5 plus 3 is 8, negative 4x, 5 plus 3 is 8. Now, the other step that they're going to do is they normally do is putting this 4x, add 4x to both sides. Somebody else said it on TikTok. Plus 4x plus 4x, and that gives you 11x is equal to 4x plus 4x, and that's gone. And that's 8. Ooh, I gotta make sure this is this. So that's 8. So what else we do? What divide both sides by 11? Divide this guy by 11. Divide this guy by 11. And what does that give us? Is x is equal to 8 over 11. And you see how many steps that there is to this? Do all that step to get x is equal to 8 over 11. Let me double check that this is right. 7 times 8 over 11 plus 3. My calculator is messing with me. Is this right? Oh, snap. I think this calculator is gone. All right, so 7 times 8 over 11 minus 3, negative 4. You guys check that for me. 8 over 11 plus 5. Are these the same? 56 over 11 minus 3. 30, negative 32 over 11 minus plus 5. Are these the same? 55 over 11. 33 over 11. I'm just checking if this is right. Did I do this right? All right, cool. So we had 7x minus 4 plus 4, 11. All right, so what we got? 56 over 11 minus 33 over 11. Okay, that gives you what? What is that? Negative 32. Okay. That sounds about right. Yeah. 33 here. And then 23 over 11. Yeah, that's right. Okay, cool. So now, you see how many steps it takes for us to get through here. So the other thing that we need to do is, let's see how we can do this without the second way that I showed you guys. So what's the first step we're going to do? If we try to do the second way that I showed you, the second way is moving everything that has x on one side, usually it's the left side, and then everything that doesn't have x on the other side, the right side. So now, what's the first thing that we're going to do here? So this guy has x, and we'll keep him on this side. So we're going to keep everything that has x on the left side, everything that has x and not x, no x on this side. So how we go about doing this? So 7x that has x in it, of course, that's equal to. So that 3 doesn't have x. We're going to transpose that 3, move that 3 to the other side. That was -3 here. It's going to become +3. And then +5. And then at the same time, what you can do is say that -4 have x in it. You're going to move it to this side. That was -4x, and then become +4x. And then what you can do is say 11x is equal to 8. X is equal to 8 over 11. And that takes me less than, about 3 steps. So the other one had like 5 or 6. So it depends on which one you're more comfortable with. I normally use this. But if I'm explaining to, a child who's just being introduced to algebra, I'll probably use the first step. Which one you guys think is easier? Let me see. Who else is watching? Whatever the man. I say he's so rusty. Let's see. Yes, Taylor. I can help with log. Let's see. Never mind. Combine x. Fabio Foreign. Ali 8. Thank you. All right, so let's see. There's no questions on Instagram. Imaginary numbers. All right, we can do some. We can do some imaginary stuff. Cool. So let's move on to inequality. So in this case, what I'll do, let's see, we can do imaginary numbers, maybe. So the imaginary numbers. The person who's taking geometry test tomorrow, let me know if you're here so we can do this. If you're not, we're gonna leave it for another time. Imaginary numbers. Somebody on IG asked that. Instagram asked for that. All right, cool. So let's move on to inequality, and that's not really different from what we were doing before. And I'll fly through it right quick. If you have any question, ask me too. So let's say we have 2x minus 3 is equal to 1. I mean, is less than or equal to 1. And I'm going to do 2 cases, just like the same one that we did earlier, and then we're gonna be done with that. So the first case is saying, hey, 2x minus 3 less than or equal to 1. Now, how do we do this? So it's the same thing as the equality. So we're going to add 3 to both sides, if that's how you do it normally. Add 3 to both sides. 1 plus 3. 1. Maybe I say add 3. I'm skipping steps. 2x, that 3 and that 3 is gone. Less than or equal to 1 plus 3 is 4. Right? So you divide both sides by 2. X is less than or equal to 4 divided by 2 is 2. Now, how do we graph this? And that's the biggest. Apart from what I'm about to do next, this is probably one of the biggest concern that kids have. How do you graph this? So so we have x is less than or equal to 2. So how do we graph this? Think about we're on the number line. So this is 0, this is 1, this is 2, and this is infinity. This is negative infinity. And this is -1, this is -2, right? So x is less than or equal to 2. So how do we graph that? How do we represent that in terms of symbols? So 2 anything that's less than or equal to 2. So the way you look at it is saying, okay, what's the value? 2. And I'm looking at everything that's less than or equal to 2. So that means everything that is to the left of 2. That's going to be your left, to the left of 2. So everything that's less than or equal to 2 is going to be to the left of 2. And everything that's greater than or to the left of 2, and also that's going to include 2 too, because it's less than or equal to 2. And then everything that's greater than 2 is going to be to the right, because 3 is not going to be part of this interval. 4 is not going to be part of this interval because they are all greater than 2. Now, how do we go about this? So we're saying that, is it going to be a closed or an open circle, or is it going to be a closed circle? Which one of those is going to be? So is it going to be this one or this one? So which one of those is going to be when we graphing the solution? I mean, representing the solution of this inequality. Is it an open circle or a closed circle? And after that, we're going to write it in terms of, we're going to write it in this form. So to see if it's going to have a bracket or a parenthesis. So before this, is it an open circle or a closed circle in here? Let's see. Yeah, Jacob, me too, man. I'm watching it at 1040 as well. So closed circle, open circle. Who wants to see this? Wait, this won't load for you? Yeah, it's also on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Yes, it's on YouTube. That's So Raven. It's on YouTube. It's currently on YouTube now. You can go watch it in there. All right, y'all tell me if it's open circle or closed circle. All right, cool. No problem. I'll leave you, man. I'll leave you. That's what's up. And yeah, so closed circle. Okay, so someone says say closed circle. So the reason why we think of closed is, it's that what we want to say is it's including the value of 2. So that 2 is part of it. That's part of the solution. So if I plug in 2 here, that's going to be less than or equal to 1. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 3 is 1. And 1 is less than or equal to 1. Now, why we don't say open circle? Because that would mean the solution doesn't include 2. So that means anything less than 2 and on. But no, that's not the case, because 2 is also the solution. Now, let's write this in terms of intervals. So the way when I want to write it in terms of interval, the first thing I do is I write, I draw the number line. I see what it looks like on the number line. So I have the 2 here. Everything less than 2 is here. So now when I'm writing the interval, I know the interval is going to start right here at the end of this. It's going to be, these are the 2 endpoints that I'm concerned about. So one endpoint is going to be negative infinity. That's always parenthesis, never a bracket. And the other endpoint is going to be a 2. So now, do we have a parenthesis here at 2, or is it a bracket? Fast. I'm going to give you guys about 10 seconds. Let's see I'll give you a shout out if you say it too. Let's see. Yeah, that's what. Closed, because it has the line under it. That means less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. That's what's up. Now, do we have okay, somebody say why closed? Olivia. So closed, like, it means, so the reason why it's a closed circle and not an open circle, and if you find a question in this, is this going to be a parenthesis or a bracket? Let me know who find a question there. Now, the reason why, Olivia, the reason why it's a closed circle, not an open circle, is because what we have here when we're looking at the solution is a solution that also includes the value of 2. The way that you represent including 2 is by representing it with a closed circle. Now, if we had a solution like x is less than 2, that would mean it would not include 2. Would it have an open circle? Think about when you take the closed. If you think about closed circle, that's including the 2, because you bubble the 2 out also. But if you have an open circle, that means the 2 is not part of it. So that means the 2 is not part of it. Here in this solution, the 2 is not part of it. That's an open circle. Here in this solution, 2 is part of it because it's closed. It's a closed circle, and that's why it's a closed circle, not the closed. That's why it's a closed circle. So that's why this was a closed circle. Olivia, if you don't understand, I can explain that a little bit different for you. Now, is this a parenthesis or a bracket? If we're writing this in terms of intervals, is this a bracket or a parenthesis? Let's see. Are you guys having trouble on TikTok? Let's see. The half squared one. Yes, what's up? Yeah. Yes. I think we can do the unit circle when we do. I'm in bracket. That's what's up, Olivia. That's what's up. Good job. Yes. Okay, so we're gonna do that a little bit of that next when we do Tutor. So yeah, that is a bracket right here. That means it's including the value of 2. And then when you have a parenthesis, it doesn't include that value. And the same way here, because you never know the value of negative infinity, really, you put parenthesis. So parenthesis means it doesn't include that value. Bracket means it includes it. So whenever you have a bracket, whenever you have these, you can have a bracket. Whenever you have, this guy right here, you're gonna have a parenthesis. So strictly less than parenthesis, strictly greater than parenthesis, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, bracket. All right, so let's move on to something else. Something else. Let me do another different question about equality, and you guys can tell me. And it's not going to be very, very different from what we just did. So let's say I have 6x minus, that's this, another value, 6y minus 3, negative 6 from y minus 3. Greater than, is it greater than? Is it less than? Less than 5. All right, so I gotta make sure I get this right, so I don't get no weird numbers. 5y plus 4 minus 5y minus 4. All right, this looks terrible, but I know what it's gonna be. Cool. All right, so now let's do this. So let's do this, and then this is probably going to show you, it's kind of like the tricky part about inequality that kids normally forget. So let's tackle it the right way. So the first thing that we do is we add, as you guys can tell, we add 3 to both sides. We can do that. So this guy right here has become negative 6y plus 3 minus 3, negative 5y minus 4 plus 3. Minus 4 plus 3 is negative 1. So here we have negative 6y. If I'm going too fast, let me know. Negative 5y. Negative minus 1. Okay, now, good. This is good. Okay, so far so good. So what we're going to do here is add 5y to both sides. So we can move that thing to the other side, plus 5y plus 5y. So what we're going to have on the left side, 6y, negative 6y plus 5y is equal to negative 1, right? That negative 1 right here never moved. This 5 cancels with this one, so we have negative 1. Negative 6y plus 5y is negative y. Now, I notice this creates a lot of confusion for you. So it's when you have signs, if the signs are the same, you add them, and then you keep the sign. If the signs are different, you subtract them. You take one, subtract them, and then you keep the sign of the biggest one. So now the signs are what? Different here. So I'm gonna say, literally gonna say 6 minus 5. 1, and I'm gonna keep the sign of the biggest one in absolute value. When I say the biggest one, you know what I mean, in absolute value. The sign that was right here, -1. That's why we have -1y instead of having y or or 11y. So that's why it's -1y. I feel like I'm looking at YouTube only. So so yeah. All right. So -y, -1, not equal to, less than. Now, what do we do next? So we're going to do multiply both sides by -1. Now, this is what's really important. Whenever you have an equality, when you multiply both sides by -1, the sign of the equality changes. So now we multiply this guy by -1, and we multiply this guy by -1. And when you're dealing with equations or equality and all that stuff, so whatever you do to one side, I do it to the other side. Now, what's going to happen is this sign here is going to flip, and I'll show you an example right quick. So what we're going to have is -1y times y is y. So a negative times a negative becomes a positive, and -1 times a -1 is 1, greater than 1. Y greater than 1. Now, let me see if y'all have any questions, and then I'm going to show you a little bit of example of not why this is the case, but like, so you can always remember it. Let me see if y'all have any questions first. Questions? Let's see. Nope, no questions. All right, I'm moving this too much on Facebook. My bad. Yeah, loading. Yeah, if this is not working, go on the underscore Jax underscore Tutor on Instagram, or the Jax Tutor on YouTube. All right, so where does the sign changes? Okay, which one are you referring to? Jacquirix? I know I'm messing up your name for sure. Which one are you referring to? Jacquuiex. And like what situation? Okay. The bottom part. Okay. All right. You mean the equality sign or the inequality sign, right? Is that what you mean by the sign changes, or the positive and negative? All right, cool. Let's go back. I don't know why TikTok is loading. So yeah, thank you. There's the same handle. Yes. Okay. The sign. All right. Cool. Let me. I don't know what's going on with TikTok, though. Wait. Let me try to load this again. I don't know what's going on TikTok, but it should work a little bit better now, hopefully, because this page wasn't loading right with the camera. All right, y'all, let me know if you see me better on TikTok. So, all right, so the sign, the equality changes whenever you multiply by a negative. Whenever you multiply by -1, or if you flip, if you were to flip this. And that, and I'll show you an example in a sense. So think about if you had 1 as greater than 3, right? Or actually 1 is greater than -2, right? You know that. I know that too. 1 is greater than -2. Now let's do a little trick. Let's multiply both sides of the inequality by -1 and see what happens. So I'll multiply this guy by -1. Let me put multiply by -1, and I'll multiply this guy by -1 too. Multiply by -1. So what happened here? 1 times a -1 becomes a -1, and a -1 times a -2 times a -1, negative times a negative becomes a +2. Now, which one is greater? So is it this or is it this? And you can try that, and it's not gonna be this one. So you see how the sign was here? Greater than. It's not gonna be this one. -1 is always less than 2. You can try this trick for all numbers that you have. Try to get a number and a different one, multiply both sides by -1, and you'll see what I'm saying. So let's say if you had 0 is less than 2, right? If I multiply both sides by -1, I'm still have 0, but I'm gonna, on the other side, I'm gonna have 2. What's bigger, 0 or -2? 0 is bigger. So greater than 2. So now that's how it works. So you can try it for as many numbers as you want. So what you need to keep, to remember is whenever you multiply both sides by -1, both sides of an inequality by -1, you have to flip the sign. And that's the only thing you need to remember. It's a given. So it works for all numbers. You don't have to go home and, waste the big paper. Try to do all of them, 15, 17. It will work for all numbers. So remember, whenever you multiply by -1, you just flip the sign. Flip the sign. If it was less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Less than, greater than. So now, let's graph this. And then we're going to move to something a little bit different. All right, let's try to graph this. And let me know if you're on the same Jaqueen, J-A. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. The trick is whenever you multiply both sides of an equality by -1 by a negative number, you have to flip the sign. You have to flip the sign of the inequality. So if I multiply this by a -1 and that by a -1, I have to flip the sign of it. So let me know if you understand that. If you don't, I'm trying to explain it a different way so you understand. I know I give you an example and I explain it, but that doesn't mean that makes sense to you in your terms. So I'm trying to see if I can make it make sense to you. All right, cool. So, all right, let's see. All right, I got inequality. No, we're about to graph this. So when I'm graphing this, the first thing I do, I go on the number line. I put 0, 1, 2, -1, -2, -3. And then what's the number that I'm dealing with? 2, this all the way out here is going to be infinity. All the way right here is going to be -infinity. Now, what's the number that I'm dealing with? Is 1. 1. I want to find all the values that are greater than 1. So that's what y is saying. Y is all the values that are greater than 1. So now, let's see some of the values that are greater than 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. So they all gonna be to the right of 1 instead of left. So to the right of 1. Now here we have strictly greater than 1. Now, is it gonna be an open circle or is it gonna be a closed circle? I'm gonna see your answer for this, and then let's see. Open circle or closed circle? I feel like when I'm moving this too. That's interesting. Open, close. Open. All right, open. There you go. This is algebra. Whoever is asking what math is this. Okay, so multiplying by a positive, do you still flip the sign? No, you don't. Open circle. Olivia, you don't. The only reason why you flip the sign is because you're multiplying by a negative number. So what the negative number does is, like I was saying, if you have 0 and 3, 0 is less than 3. It really changes the sign. So what happened is, if you notice in the number line, all the negative numbers, the further you go to the left, if you have 10, -10, let me see, this is left. So if you have -10, -11, -12, -13, so here, in real life, it makes sense. This 1 is greater than 2. But when you have the negative 1 is greater than -2. -1 is greater than -10 million. Now, when you flip this, when you multiply both sides by a negative number, that negative 1 is going to become 1. That negative 10 million is going to become 10 million. So that's going to be greater than that one. And if that doesn't make sense, you gotta look at how the numbers are, and on the negative side of the number line. On the negative side of the number line, even though you get numbers that are big in absolute values, but because they have a negative number next to them, that means they become smaller and smaller and smaller. So 100, negative 100, is way bigger than negative 10 billion. So like when you say 10 billion, it's like a big number, but because it has that negative sign next to it, it makes it smaller. So if I had 100 here, negative 100, I know that's greater than negative 10 billion. Now, however many zeros that takes, now when I multiply both sides by negative 1, that negative 100 is going to become positive 100. That negative 10 billion is going to become a positive 10 billion. And you tell me what's greater, $100 or $10 billion? Which one you would rather have? So that's how I mean, the more you do it, the more you're going to start knowing, when to change the sign. But to answer your question, you don't change it in positive. So let's say you say 1 is greater than 2. If I multiply this guy by 3, 1 times 3 becomes 3. 2 times 3 becomes 6. It's still, no, 1 is not greater than 2, less than 2. If I multiply both sides by 3, 1 times 3 becomes 3. 2 times 3 becomes 6. So 6 is still greater than, you see, the sign still says the same. But if I had multiplied by a negative 3, I would have to flip the sign. So you only flip the sign when you multiply by negative numbers. Yes. So whoever said open circle is good, that was an open circle. So now how do we put this in the number line? So write this in intervals. The way I normally look at it when I'm writing intervals, I say, okay, I look at these, so everything that's greater than 2. So this is what I'm interested in. I don't even worry about this, like this thing. These parts, I could even erase them. So now, greater than 1 actually. So now, what I'm saying is, my number, my interval is going to become from 1 to infinity, a comma. Now, do I have a parenthesis here or a bracket? Which one goes in here? Is it a bracket? This is a bracket. Or is it a parenthesis? Yeah, is it a parenthesis or a bracket? For the interval notation, is it 1 infinity or 1 infinity? Which one is it? Let's see. I'll see how y'all answer this question, and then we're gonna go. Hey, what's good? Victoria's cooking. All right, cool. Let's see. You legit forgot all of this. I know. Yeah, parentheses. That's why Lena Bakir, parentheses. Bracket is real numbers, yes. No. Bracket means it's either less than, there you go. Mateo gel, parentheses, yeah. Bracket means it's either less than or equal to, bracket means less than or equal to or greater than equal to. That means you included that value. Parentheses means that, it's strictly less than. So in this case, we have strictly less than, so that means it's a parenthesis, not a bracket. Now, someone asked about given circle. Let's see if we can go do some trig or geometry, whatever y'all call it. Okay, so let's start with stuff that we already know. Let's start with a triangle. So when you have a triangle, let's see if I can write a good one, draw a good one. So you have this triangle right here. Let's see if I can call this side A, B, C. So this is a right triangle. What is right here is an angle of 90 degrees. I hope you guys all understand that. So So inside of this right triangle, I said, hey, now if I have this triangle and I have an angle here, let's call this angle theta, and I want to know the sine, the cosine, the tangent, or you could find cotangent, secant, cosecant if you want to, but if you know the first three ones, you'll be able to find the other ones. Now, if I want to know what those are in inside of this triangle, we use a little mnemonic called Tutor. And you guys probably know what it is. Sine, so S-O-H. That means sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Hypotenuse. And let me define those all for you. Now, this is where it gets tricky. When I say opposite, it means opposite in relation to that angle. So the side that's opposite to that angle. And the hypotenuse, we know this is the hypotenuse because it is the longest side of the triangle. The opposite side means directly opposite to this angle. Now, if I was considering this an angle right here, opposite side would be this. So it's opposite in relation to that angle. It's not in relation to the right angle. It's not in relation to what angle we're talking about. So if I'm calculating the sine of theta, the opposite side is this. If I'm calculating the sine of alpha, the opposite side is this. The one that's facing alpha, the opposite side to it. So if I got the angle this way, whatever is opposite to it. Now you see how opposite side will be different depending on what angle you consider. So opposite means in relation to that angle. Adjacent is also in relation to that angle. That's the part that we need to get right. And normally kids understand, SOHCAHTOA, they know what it means. But if you get the side one, you're probably gonna mess it up. So now let's go opposite over hypotenuse. So sine of theta is equal to the opposite side. What's the opposite side of theta? Opposite side right here. This is theta. And what's the opposite side? Who can tell me what the opposite side is? And then what's the hypotenuse? So sine, it's opposite over hypotenuse. So we're gonna take the opposite and put it right here. And then we're gonna put the hypotenuse right here. That's exactly what SOHCAHTOA is. Sine, so opposite over hypotenuse. And what's the opposite side? To the angle theta. Opposite. Okay, tell me. Tapes for online learning. Are you referring to you as a student trying to learn online, or are you someone trying to teach people online? Because the question sounds a little bit broad. I'm thinking you're a student. I'm doing geometry this year. That's what's up. CWHINE. Good. Okay. AB. Abigail, I think. Say AB. All right, cool. So AB is the opposite side. Let's see. Okay. So opposite means directly opposite to this angle. So this angle, this is the angle. I'm not looking at any other angle. They're the opposite to this angle. Adjacent means next to, next to the angle. So like it kind of is a part of the angle. So there are two sides that are next to this angle right here. There's this part, which is the hypotenuse. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about. And there's this part right here, which is the adjacent side. Now, opposite side means opposite to that angle. Which side in this triangle, which side in this right triangle, which side is opposite to the angle theta? Come on, guys. Nah. I'm hoping I'm explaining this well to the point where it's not that hard. Let's see. Wait a minute. I feel like this is Facebook one is stuck. I'm not sure what's going on, but that's fine. All right, cool. AB, BC. All right, BC. BC over AC. Okay, A over B. Abigail, let me know how you, uh, if you, I'm confused one on this. I don't know. Okay. All right, cool. So, Mateo. So, here's what I'm asking. So, in a triangle, any right triangle that you have, there's gonna be, so depending on what angle you consider, there's gonna be a side that's opposite to it. There's gonna be a side that's adjacent to it. There's also gonna be the hypotenuse, and we know for a fact the hypotenuse is the longest side of the triangle. From looking at it, this guy is obviously greater than this one. It's longer than this. It's longer than this. So, the material, if you haven't taken geometry or trig before, you gotta let me know. So this side is obviously the longest one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the side BC, I'm gonna put it right here. So that's part of the formula. And somebody figured it out too. But the side that I need to put on here is, so the so part says sine, the formula for sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite for O, the opposite side to the angle theta. So I have an angle here. Whatever is opposite to is going to be directly facing it. So if the angle is opening up this way, what's opposite to is just going to be that side that's right here. If it's opening up that way, what's opposite to is going to be that side that's right here. If it's opening up, this way, whatever is opposite to is going to be right opposite. So that means it's on the opposite side of the angle. So, and if that doesn't make sense to you, think about, okay, if you understand what the adjacent side is and you understand what the hypotenuse is, saying that, okay, whatever is left is the opposite side. Adjacent means next to, it's next to it. And there are only two sides that are adjacent that are part of that angle is the hypotenuse. Obviously, that's not what we're talking about. And then this guy right here. And that's the adjacent side. But the opposite side that we're referring to, opposite means opposite to, in relation to that angle, is the side BC. So, look, this is the hypotenuse. So opposite side is BC, actually, over the hypotenuse, which is AC. I don't know where it's in there. So the hypotenuse is AC, and BC is right here. Now, we're going to go to this part of the formula, the part of the formula. So Tutor. That means cosine is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. Now, what's the adjacent side? We're considering this angle still. Adjacent means next to. Tell me what the adjacent side of this angle is. This angle theta right here. Tell me what the adjacent side is. So we're going to say cosine of theta. So what's the adjacent side of this angle right here? The hypotenuse, we know it's the longest side, which is AC. I don't know how I wrote BC earlier. The longest side. What's the adjacent side that needs to go right here in this formula? Oh, appreciate it. Victoria passed her STAR test for the first time. And she said that I helped her. I appreciate it. I'm glad that I was able to help you. All right. Come on, guys. Let's see. Lowercase. AB. Okay, AB. All right, cool. AB. All right. AB. Yes, good. Let's see who else said AB. Why BC is opposite. No. Okay. I think I explained that. IZZZYY. Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm glad you got it. All right, cool. So the opposite side, and the person who's referring to the lowercase, that's probably the proper way to write it. I'm trying to explain it to them in a way that they can really understand it. So the side that we're referring to, the adjacent side, is what? AB. Right? Now, when you're finding tangent, there are two ways to find it. Two ways. And here, in this case, the first thing that you can say is say, hey, the formula for tangent is sine, divided by cosine. Or you can say, hey, tangent here is T is opposite over adjacent. So I found the opposite side. What was the opposite side? The opposite side was BC. The adjacent side was AB. So tangent of theta, tan of theta is the opposite side, BC, divided by the adjacent side, AB. You can find it this way. Now, the other thing that you can say is, if you remember the formula for tangent is sine over cosine. So now what we're going to do here is saying, okay, let's see what sine is. And if you, let me see if you guys understand the tangent part. Tangent of theta. Tangent, AB. So what's up? We just did some algebra P2K waifu. What did I just dread? Appreciate you. I gotta go to bed. Thank you for teaching. No problem, Mateo. You have a good night's sleep. All right, cool. So we're about to go too. So the person who asked about imaginary numbers, let me know if you're still here so we can do it. If not, we're gonna answer it. So tangent part. So this is what we're gonna do. Saying tangent is BC, the opposite side, divided by the adjacent side, which is AC. So what I'm saying is, in relation to this angle alpha, the opposite side is BC, as we already saw, divided by the adjacent side was AB. Now, there's another way to find tangent. It's saying that tangent is sine over cosine. So let's say I say it's tangent alpha, tangent of theta, and then go to sine of theta divided by the cosine of theta. Now, what's the sine of theta? We already found it, right? BC over AC. That's what we're going to put on top. Let me write this in a way that does not confuse you. BC over AC. Let me write this on top the same way that it is. BC in red, AC in green. That's not red. BC over AC. That's the sine part. And then we maybe put a line. And then what's the cosine part? AB over AC. AC was in green. AC in green. Now, you guys probably see what I'm about to do. So, the formula for tangent, that's stuff that you normally remember. Tangent is sine divided by cosine. So now we have the sine, BC over AB. We're going to divide it by the cosine, AB over AC, BC over AC divided by AB over AC. So now when you divide a fraction by another one, what you do, you keep the first fraction the way it is, and then you flip the second one. You multiply that by the second one inverted. So you keep the first fraction the way it is, BC over AC. That's the first fraction. BC divided by AC. And then you're going to multiply that by the second fraction, AB over AC. But inverted, it was AB divided by AC. Now it's going to be AC divided by AB. AC is going to become on top, divided by AB is going to become at the bottom. Now, let's simplify. AC here, that's gone. What are we left with? Who can tell me what we're left with? What we're left with? Here and here, right? BC over AC. Did I say AC? AB. AC over AB. I don't know why I say AC. BC over AB. Now, if you don't understand that part, let me know. Because that was like dividing two fractions together. BC over AB. Let me see if you guys understand. I know I kind of went fast on this. All right, so respect. No problem, Joe. Shh. I think the Instagram, I don't know what happened to Instagram. I feel like this is gone. I'm trying to see what happened on Instagram. Instagram is gone. There it is. Oh, it says the video is ended. All right, cool. All right. So, all right, guys. Let's I think we can wrap this thing up. All right. So, yeah, that was it. So, if you guys have any questions, you know how to reach me. 904-299-8417. And I hope you guys start school well tomorrow. And I'll see you next Tuesday for another session. And that's it.